Okay, so in this video, I'm going to tell you why I said no to $1 million in salary, an actual plus equity in the company. And that's kind of crazy. So, but before I do that, I just want you to promise me one thing. Is that okay? Like, please don't tell my mother about this because she will be crazy. She will probably, yeah, I will lose my inheritance. And yeah, I probably need to do a lot of housework next time I visit her. Is that a deal? Okay, awesome. So let's just jump straight into it. So basically, Warren Buffett, which is obviously one of the most successful and richest people on the planet, he is saying the following: the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. So let me repeat that. Warren Buffett says that like the difference between like successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. And here's the kind of the thing, like the more successful you become, like the more opportunities you will get. So it is also like a kind of like a very good kind of like indication on from the marketplace and from your peers that like the bigger and the better the opportunities you get. That's number one. And number two, the bigger and the opportunities that you get that you will say no to, that's kind of like the true measurement on your success and where you're currently heading. Does that make sense? So basically, just to kind of explain kind of like this situation right here is like, long story short, I was running paid advertising, and there was this potential client that wanted my help, and basically he wanted me to like really kind of come on board and help their company, and yeah, basically help them to earn, like, excuse my French, a shitload of money, which I know that I could based on the niche and on my experience. And he actually went so far that he offered me like 1 million US dollars in annual salary plus equity in the company. And I kind of like, when I got that, this were kind of like two feelings in my head. Number one is just like, oh, holy crap, like that's a pretty decent amount. That's kind of like number one, kind of like, oh my God, like a bit kind of like, yeah, shocked in a good way. And then number two was kind of like what I immediately kind of like reacted to, kind of like listening to my body, was that this was kind of like twisting. I got this kind of feeling in my stomach that was kind of twisting. So it was not a good thing. And obviously, I said that I needed to think about it. And then I basically kind of used kind of like one of the kind of what I kind of like to call it is kind of like it's a method that I call the basically kind of looking into the looking glass. So it's basically, imagine that back in the days, in the kind of the era of kind of like uh, of the pirates and kind of like that kind of era where you were on a sailboat, right? So you had only sailboats. And when you're on a boat, obviously you have navigation and map and so on and so on. But like the only way that you can kind of see further ahead is through the looking glass, right? So what I often do when I do strategic moves is that I try to really put myself into the situations with the conditions and everything that is around, and I kind of like use kind of like the looking glass method on basically trying to see kind of like, in a geeky word, I try to simulate how my life will be like if I take that path, right? So I might be, yeah, creating like a separate video on this, but like that's kind of what I was doing. And like it didn't give me it actually gave me a bad feeling, which is like a total no-no. And then I basically kind of like realized that, hey, like, listen, talking to myself, hey, listen, like, um there is no like, making money online is easy, and like this is not what I want to do. I didn't feel kind of like a good gut feeling. I didn't have like the connection and the chemistry that I would like to with people that I work very closely with. So that basically made me say no. So that what's kind of like number one is obviously the feeling that it gave me, like a bad gut feeling. And number two, it's also about purpose. Like, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I was not supposed to be here on this planet because I was split seconds from losing my life four times. Not one, not two, not three, but four times. So kind of my kind of like perception and kind of thinking about like life is probably a little bit different than most people. And basically my point is like, since I believe like in God, and like whatever you believe in, that is totally fine. But like I truly do believe that like the God or the universe, like there is a reason why I'm still on this planet, right? So I was saved like four times, and there's a reason why I'm still on this planet. And that can basically comes down to purpose. So I firmly do believe with like every fiber in my body that the reason why I'm still here on this planet is to help a lot of people and to make this world a little bit better place. And I truly truly do believe that with every fiber in my body. And so yeah, it didn't feel like really good purpose at all. Obviously the feeling was bad, and like the purpose wasn't good either. And then it comes down to the third thing, is which is like very important. So it has everything to do with basically potential, right? So let me just like give you some kind of more background story, and then I will talk about potential, because this is kind of like can be super helpful for you if you want to grow or scale your business. So there's several things that I said no to, like in the last few years. So one thing is that during like the last 5 years, like 11, not 10, but 11 marketing agencies wanted to buy my company. 11. And I turned them all down, right? And another thing that happened is that now probably I get approached from like one business on average per month that want to start a business together with me. So like I get literally like one kind of like business request on average per month, that there's some kind of business that want to start a business with me, when there's kind of like this equity or deal involved. And like I've turned a lot of opportunities down, and the reason why I'm doing that is that I truly, truly do know my true potential. And I know my vision, what I want to build. I know the people I want to help. I know the impact that I want to make, right? And at the end of the day, this is kind of like, so let's see here. So let me just do here with some potential stuff like this. Yeah, so just going to use an example. So the first time when I built like my six-figure business, it probably, let's see, and I might need to go back then correct this stuff, but I think it took me like, what's it? Probably like the first time when I was doing stuff, it basically took about 5 years for me to go into a certain point with the mindset. So it basically took me 5 years, but like basically um once I kind of like, and there's kind of like this shift in the journey, that once I knew what I needed to do, it was just like, it was not like those 5 years were in vain, but it's basically gave me the ability to see clearer. So basically what happened is I built like a six-figure business from scratch, very important, from scratch, in a new niche, um, basically in about 2 months time. Yeah, so that's like 60 days. And here's the thing, like if you, that's kind of what they're saying, like if everything, like everything is hard in the beginning. Okay, so you're starting a business, you're scaling a business, growing a business. Like for every kind of next level you go to, there's like a new plateau or a new challenge that you need to overcome. And basically, once you're able to kind of like with the knowledge and experience to do that, you can do that again and again and again and again. But there's also a kind of like this new cap, like there's kind of like new level that you need to reach. But when you've done something one time, you can easily do it again and again and again. And it's not just about kind of like mindset and the potential, but it also kind of like where your um, comfortable level when it comes to your earning potential is. So what do I mean by this? So this depends obviously from person to person, but like every person that is running a business has a certain level that when you go below that level per month, you feel really crap. So I'm just going to use this as a number. So let's say you've been running a business for a few months or maybe like a year or two. And if you go below like $5,000 per month in income, like you feel really crap. So your kind of identity and your economical identity is kind of um, aligned with the $5,000 per month, right? So once you go below that, you will feel really crap, and most likely you will start to freaking out because like this is not like who you are as a person. And then basically what you do, you will most likely just do a lot of crazy stuff, activities to get your sales up and go up to the $5,000 per month again, right? So this is something that can be trained. But like when you go to certain levels, like this is with all like successful entrepreneurs as well. Once you dip below like your kind of like economical identity level, you will start be freaking out, and then you will do like crazy stuff. You get more clients and so on, and then you go above, and then you kind of like breathing and kind of relaxing, and then you're kind of like going back into the comfort zone again. So my point with this is like when you've done something once, it's easy to do it again if you really know what you do. So the worst thing that I hear is kind of with people that are successful online and then they did something and then it was just like, oh, so I did this and then I got so many um, followers and made so much money, and I'm just like, okay, that's cool. And then my question is, exactly what did you do? And like if they can't answer what they did because they don't know, that's really the worst. That's the worst. That's the kind of worst situation that you want to be in, because if you don't know what you did to get there, you cannot replicate it, and you cannot kind of teach other people how to do it, right? So that's like really, really kind of like crazy if you have success with something and if you don't really know what happened. So, but basically back to the point again. So then I did this, and this I've done like several times, both like six-figure businesses in like a very short period of time, and then I also like built a multiple six-figure business also from scratch. In that was also like in about 60 days, right? So like the same time frame here, like this I did like the first time I did it after like really kind of like grinding and kind of learning the new skills for 5 years. It took me basically 2 months to go from zero to basically $10,000 per month in monthly revenue, which is basically six figure in 60 days. The next time I did it, I actually did multiple six figures in 60 days, but that's like a story for another time. But that's kind of like my point, that you need to be kind of like aware of also your potential and where you want to go. And yeah, so just to kind of wrap it up, it's kind of like I probably covered this in another video as well. So uh, like I was in a really, yeah, I'm not going to take that story right now, but basically, long story short, basically what I was able to do, I totally cracked the code on something completely new when it comes to ads, something that like no one else in the world is doing, because I created the method myself, right? So I call it basically the Apex ad framework, and I'm not going to talk about that right now, but basically what this ended up in me, I was like in a situation where I had like wasn't like really bad kind of like economical situation, and then I just like had two choices: is what either to grow bigger balls and get back on my horse and start selling like crazy, or it was to grow bigger balls, get back on the horse and sell like crazy. And so I did. And this basically took me from, at that time, $7,000 per month to about like, I'm going to be careful now because like due to the currency, I might be quoting a little bit wrong, but I think it was about like, was it $49,000 per month? So, oh crap, what happened now? Okay. Okay. So basically, I went from $7,000 per month to about like 49,000 US dollars per month in 11 months. But more importantly, was that about like 96% of that was profit margins, right? So let me just repeat that. Like this was in 11 months. I basically went from $7,000 per month in revenue to 49,000 US dollars per month in revenue. And this is like 96% profit margins. And like I know some of like the best marketers out there, and I can tell you there are several businesses out there that have a revenue with like $1 million per year, $2 million per year, but they're not even close to the profit margins that I have here. So this is kind of what I also want you to kind of see things in perspective, that it's not really about chasing revenues that kind of like the gurus are doing. It's all about basically profits, 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 profits. So yeah, so that was, guess that was it. That I gave you kind of like the explanation why I said no to $1 million in salary plus equity in the company. So I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions or there are any topics that you would want me to cover, just yeah, comment on the comment below the video, and I might create a video for you in the future. Okay, that's all for now. Bye bye.